What's going on, family? It's Brother Coasty at IALLG.com. And today's topic is all about decisions, right? Decisions. Everybody's going to be faced with a decision one point in time or another. In fact, you have decisions you have to make every single day. The difference in making the decision that you want or putting it off or never even getting to it is how you make your decisions, right? There's one of two ways. You can do it externally derived or internally derived. Most people that I see when they're not getting to their goals, when they're not achieving the success they want for their lives, it's because they tend to get into this thing called analysis paralysis, or they distract themselves, right? So analysis paralysis is when you think too much. I won't say you think too much, but you hyperfixate on something external. It's called the outcome. You're always focused on the outcome. And while, yes, you should make decisions that give you the best outcome, you have to act in order to get an outcome in the first place. A lot of people who face analysis paralysis, they go through these things in their head where they're like, well, if I do that, then that might happen, and if I do that, then that might happen, and like, I don't want that to happen, I don't want that to happen, they get stuck in their head running these scenarios, and while it's good to plan, it's good to strategize, it can be detrimental. The other people they distract themselves, right? They get faced with a decision, and since they don't have any actual decision-making criteria, what they do is they put off the decision till later. They put it off till later. They put it off till later. They put it off till later. And they do this for most of their things in their lives, right? Oil changes, getting the tires fixed on your car, starting your business, talking to that person, building your credit, saving money. Every time that they're faced with a decision they know they have to make, what happens is they focus, they have all these outcomes they want, but they haven't made any decision-making criteria, and so they keep putting it off, right? We're going to discuss the two simple ways of approaching making decisions, a very high-level conversation, nothing too crazy. Just want you all to have something to think about, right? So let's go to the board. Decisions, right? So you have two ways of viewing decisions. You have outcomes versus your actions, right? This is most people. They look at outcomes. It's very external based. They tell you, well, I won't say they, but you're co-creating the world, right? You're co-creating. So you are doing it alongside other people, other things, other beings, other spirits, other souls, whatever you want to call it. You're not the only thing. You are part of the all, right? And since you're a part of the all, you don't always have direct influence on the total outcome. Okay, so recognize that you don't have total control over this outcome, and this scares people. That terrifies people, and that's what leads to indecision, analysis paralysis. But look, you only get scared when you hyperfixate on the outcome that's external, and it looks something like, what happens if, right? That's the decision-making criteria. What happens if, blah, 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 blah. What happens if this, blah, 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 blah. What happens if this, blah, 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 blah. And look, there's a time and a place to have that mindset. It's a time and a place to use external things to help critique or fine-tune your process. But when it comes to the onset of a process or an onset of a decision, that's probably not the best way to go. Instead, we're going to look over here at actions. This is internal, right? And the question that you ask yourself is, why should I? Right? Why should I? The goal is not to disqualify making an action, but instead qualify the action. What I mean by that is you don't say, well, why should I? Like, why should I? It's more like, why should I take this action? You know, what will be the outcome, or what would happen if I do this action now, right? It's pushing yourself to move forward because you have something that you want to have, right? It's kind of going backwards. Most people say they hyperfixate on the outcome, like, okay, I want this outcome to happen. 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 So what do I need to do to get this outcome? All right. You can do that, but it halts you. Instead, you can say, I need to take action. Why should I? Why should I is the desire to have an outcome. It is not a desire to have a outcome, right? We're not hyper fixated on a specific outcome on the offset. What we're fixated on is moving. It's internally derived. You have to make your decisions based on internal criteria, and that internal criteria is literally you want an outcome. Not a, but an outcome. You want to see results. You want to see something. And the only way you're going to see something is if you take action. If you fixate over here on the outcomes, you live in a world of theory, right? If you over here, you're living in the world of theory, right? Because not everything is perfect, and there's things that you're going to have to correct along the way. You won't know what to correct if you never act. And that's why people stay here and they don't move, because they're waiting for this perfect time and the perfect whatever, and there's no such thing as perfect. It's only the now. The only way you reach perfection is by progression. The only way you can progress is if you act. So family, that's all about decisions today. That's it, family. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brother Coasty at 𝐈𝐧𝐯𝐭𝐡𝐞𝐫.com. Peace.